Dum da 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 dum 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 da 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 da. Good morning, everybody. As today, of course, is another day of the week, and of course, it is Monday morning. Today, the House, I believe it's the House, or it's the Senate, is supposed to vote on some very important legislation today. And I'm going to say right now, given what's going on, they're not going to get very far. Let's start with the most important: the debt ceiling, and the continuing resolution to do a budget continuation up until December of 2021, raising or suspending the debt ceiling until December of 2024. Or sorry, 2022. For those of you who don't know, me and Ed took a look at the situation going on in the real estate market. Over speculators that made the market top heavy, and drove the prices of homes well out of the reach of the average consumer. These people, including companies like BlackRock and Evergrande in China, has so over leveraged right now that the housing market is going to more than likely tumble like a deck of cards. Okay? Now, that may not make much sense to you guys because most people don't really think about it. But the truth of the matter is that also with this debt ceiling issue could seriously make the perfect storm to destroy the economy. No, he's not here. He's not here yet. He might be in a little bit, but he's not here yet. So, I guess the question that keeps coming up is, looking at the situation with what's going on in the world today, that it looks to me like that we're not going to see a debt ceiling issue dealt with. And you're not going to see no stimulus package either. It is my honest opinion from looking at the stats that as long as the Republicans and the Democrats cannot work together, there's not going to be any luck with the main $3.5 trillion stimulus package. Joe Manchin refuses to move on it. The same thing with the debt ceiling, continuing resolution, that the Republicans refuse to work with that. So either way, the Democrats are boxed. They're boxed in. They can't pass the continuing resolution without Joe Manchin's support, and they also do not have the support of any Republicans. You know, I should stop right now because, unfortunately, you know that night bug keeps wiping you out. Okay. I don't even know why you waste your time. You know Nightbot's gonna erase it, right? Yeah. Why don't you just save the Nightbot a little work and erase yourself? Because they're not gonna let your messages stick, even though they are not negative. So, what trying to say is we may not have no choice but to accept the fact is that the government is going to do the first ever default. The combined legislation of continuing resolution to fund the government through December of 2021, with suspending the debt ceiling until December 22, is not likely to pass. It's not a continuing resolution. I mean, it's not a conciliation bill. It is a regular bill. Now, it may pass the House, and I believe it did, but the Senate, they can't seem to get any Republicans to work with the Democrats at all on it. In its simple form, it's just what it sounds like. I think it's going to be a financial disaster because of the fact is that it shows how divided this country is. However, let's look at this. One of the things that we all know is that the Democrats have high hopes for a bill called the Human Infrastructure, the Anti-Poverty Legislation, and it's not likely to be very successful because it's going to probably end up being dead on arrival in the Senate, despite all the work that Bernie Sanders put into it. Because they did not invite any of the Republicans at all to join in with negotiations. I think that was a mistake on the part of the Democrats, thinking that they could pass this legislation without any support from the Republican Party. I think that's a mistake. Now that sounds more like something that happened to my character in Elder Scrolls Online, actually. No, that's not actually what happens. In the game, we start out as being captured by slavers, and we managed, me and a ragtag group of us, managed to get out. But the thing is okay. We'll talk about the gaming in a minute. That's certainly another topic. So the point I'm saying is, guys, is let's be honest here. I think the government is going to default, and because even if they come up with a continuing resolution, I don't think it's going to happen. One thing I know for a fact is the Republicans want to see the $3.5 trillion bill go down in flames. They've already shown it in the House. But there was enough votes in the House to overrule them, so they were able to still pass the House anyway. But the Senate, they don't have it. They don't have enough for a simple majority. What I think's happening is I think that the senators on the Republican side feel like they've been having their voices squelched. They think that's what they feel like. Is that they have basically been thrown away with the fish wrap. Don't think they have jobs. The problem is that they're doing a lousy set of work on them. What they need to do is get fired. You're fired. Get out. And we need to be sure that we send them their walking papers during the next election. The next midterms. We gotta send them out. We gotta get rid of them. They're doing a terrible job. The Republican Party, Democratic Party are kind of both in the same league as far as they're both basically playing games with your head. I've been watching this stuff passively in the background, hoping to give some good news. Hoping beyond hope that maybe somebody will, common sense will prevail. However, it seems that common sense in politics is not common at all. There's just no common sense here in the legislation. Now, I also was looking at something this morning on the computer. Because I could mention the video card. I'm not going to go into too much on this. Some of those video cards cost as much as my rent. $500, $600, $700, $800, $900 just to play World of Warcraft because I have to upgrade the Mojave. The Mojave is not booting on my Mac. I don't understand the reason why this is the case, but here's the sad truth. I can't afford that. I really can't. Most cats do. But like I said, so one day soon, we're not going to be able to see any more of this show either, or for a different reason. If the government defaults, well, we will continue to get SSDI. There will not be no food stamps. There will not be no Medicaid, which I don't get anyway. There more than likely will not be any Medicare. Or any other support programs, because the fact is that they are considered support programs in the government. So once those go down because of the default, the result's going to be pretty simple. Good times are pretty much going to be done. There's not going to be any resources to continue financing police, fire, rescue services, emergency services, entitlement packages such as food stamps, SSI, Medicare, Medicaid could both go up a window, actually. Not just Medicaid. It's a disturbing thought, because the fact of the matter is that all because they can't work together, the Republicans and the Democrats are fighting each other. So what is the answer? Well, the answer is pretty simple. We're going to have to come up with a better solution. It's time to have another constitutional Congress. It's time to consider designing a new government, a replacement government that works better, that can be smaller size government, maybe more localized government. Same thing in the European Union is having the same problems. It's not only because the government's too damn big, which it certainly is. It's also because of the fact that, well, these it's spending more money than we're making right now. Poor people are saving money. It's the will to do that in this case they're going to be scrambling. Oh, maybe the top 5% may not have to worry, but the large majority of the middle class, including the low middle class, are going to be seriously in jeopardy of very bad hard times. Because their whole retirement funds are based on things like 401ks and IRAs. And when those IRAs and 401ks go up in smoke, they've lost it all. So, how you doing, Wash Up? Well, like I said, it's just an example of what I'm talking about when we see what's going on. In some ways, it is the perfect end of a horrible time period in modern history. The failure of the government, the failure of the economy, is just gonna Stan, it's gonna cost long before that. Trust me. It's already insolvent. If they don't raise the debt ceiling, it's going to go down. It's gonna buckle. Now, most people don't realize the majority of our government financing is done through the 10-year Treasury bills. We're gonna lose that because when those become mature, we were paying out money to them for borrowing our money to pay for the government services that we're using by selling Treasury bills. The T-bills are going to go right up in smoke. And when that happens, the government is not going to have any finances. It's too heavy, basically, too heavily entrapped in debt. How do we get into this mess? Well, you can thank World War I for that. You see, in order to finance World War I, the government started selling bonds and treasuries to people who could afford it. They would actually get paid back interest and the principal based on the bonds that they have. 10 years matures in 10 years, okay? So which means in 10 years, for borrowing your money, when you bought the bond, okay, the government pays you back, and then it pays you interest on that. Dividends. Or in this case, the treasury bond. The yields. Well, guess what? If the government goes up in smoke, there ain't going to be no payback of the principal or the interest. Something similar is happening with Evergrande in China. Same thing that happened to Lehman Brothers in the U.S. It's overvalued. The government cannot pay back its debts. It doesn't have the resources to do it. Divine judgment for 400 years, injustice and desecration of the nations. Yeah, well, remember, majority of the empires don't exist for much more than 250 years on average. Because they become too top heavy and then they overspend. It happened to Rome, which lasted the longest. The British Empire went up in smoke, kind of like we're going to go up in smoke. Yeah, well, one thing is when you buy land, make sure you don't buy it for the ridiculous prices that those realtors are selling it to you for. That's what just puts you from one bubble into another, where you spend a huge chunk of money on land and all of a sudden find yourself and a piece of land that's overvalued. I don't know about South of Africa. I can't tell you about that. But the thing is, it's a global problem. I don't know if they're going to be any better than there. Timber is renewable cash. Yeah, the forestry industry. I was thinking about government. This is nothing but a circle jerk. Yeah, I know it is. No, because that ain't gonna help either because of the shipping debacle. There's no money to make money in the grocery store right now, unless you work with local farmers. And I say the word local with quadruple underline. You need to work with farmers in the local community, not anybody shipping products to across the country, because the shipping problems with the trucking and the railroad industry, and the fact that there's a shortage of truckers and drivers. Yeah, when people can afford to buy houses, build houses, yes. Well, yeah, abandoned ATMs. I don't really see any of those around my area, but the sad truth is that you're depending on paper, which is a fiat currency that is no longer backed by gold or silver. It has not been since 1973, when Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. Our it used to be a Federal Reserve note, or like it was more of a promissory note, saying that you could exchange this paper for an equal value of gold or silver. Well, guess what? In 1964, we got off the silver standard. In 1972, we got off the gold standard, which means that our money is not backed by nothing but trust. So, if you believe in the paper dollars that we have and think that they're going to save your bacon, I can tell you right now, they're not. Because they're not backed by anything of value. It's a scam. It's a flim flam. It is nothing. It is not anything valuable with that paper money. You might as well use a dollar bill to wipe your butt after you use the toilet. That's about all it's worth, really. It's actually made out of old blue jeans, by the way. Either way, the money is now backed by nothing of tangible value. Same thing with cryptocurrency. People keep talking about how great cryptocurrency is. It's not even backed even by that much. I would rather have something tangible in my hand. A silver coin, a gold coin. Look at the price of silver right now. Look at the price of gold right now. One $50 gold coin is worth almost 2,000 paper dollars today. So you figure that a double gold eagle, $50 coin, is equal to about $2,000 in paper money. That's how much our money is devalued. It's a scam because it has nothing behind it, no tangible value. It doesn't even have any kind of FDIC. If you put money into cryptocurrency, your money is not even FDIC insured. when the growth industries in most towns are fast food, dollar stores, liquor stores, nail salons, and right. I agree, Stan. Well, it's pretty much Winston right there. I mean, like a lot of small towns. It's not. There's not too many locally grown businesses that don't. For example, we used to have a repair shop in Winston. Back in, I think he went out of business about 2008. It's called Dex Fix It. He closed because he said there's no money to be made in the repair business. There's not enough local business to justify keeping the door open. He wanted to retire. He was going to be an old man. Yeah, exactly. Um, because really, crypto has no value whatsoever. That would be a good title for this video, I guess. Cryptocurrency, the reality. Yeah. Let me just change this title now in here. Yeah. Let's call this NASQ Chill Zone. Um, uh, the reality of the economy. Economy. How do you spell that? Economy? No, that's not it. How do you spell economy? Okay, economy. Okay. Okay, send that out there. Just change the title of the stream here. Is this crypto was good? You know, people got in, got out. Kind of like, sex with a prostitute in a way, right? Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Pretty much. This wasn't. It's not backed by nothing, except the wish and a prayer is pretty much all cryptocurrency is based upon. So yeah. So we put trust into something that we cannot see. We put trust into something that is basically just paper. It's just a mathematical hash on a piece of paper. Well, that's one of the reasons why we have a completely different genre right now. We're not focusing so much on the abuse of the telephone calls. That's not even the main topic of this channel. It never was in the first place. Well, sorry to say, but you can only get kicked in the shin so much before you break your kneecaps. Okay, and that's not even a joke. I mean, come on. I have a knee injury now, so from falling on asphalt, and I have been finding it harder to get around because of that for since 2019, December 6th. And yet, I'm still here. I'm still moving. I'm still doing a show. Now, I mean, my channel has to change. It has to adapt with the realities of what's going on around you. I mean, it's called a chill zone, but chill zone doesn't necessarily mean that it's, basically, fun and games, but also sometimes we have to cover real topics too. Right. Well, like I said, I don't really. Right now, if you look at the latest statistics, you'll notice that the topics that we're discussing now are actually doing a little bit better right now. The problem is it's also very scary. A lot of people are rightfully terrified because they know that if I get it, then they know that they should start picking up on it too, because I'm pretty much considered the lowest common denominator. Well, actually, middle common denominator. I guess people realize that is, wait a minute, if Michelle sees that something's wrong, and then maybe I need to take attention, because that means that even the people in the poor end of town know something's wrong with the system. We all know what the stimulus bill was going to be anyway. You all knew it was going to be a dog and pony show. I already knew that. It wasn't like I wasn't like surprised. Democrats managed to get people's support by pushing this and saying, "Oh, listen, people, we're going to fix the problems of the world. We're going to send you more money. We're going to give you more money for your bills and everything." Yeah, it was a nice promissory note, nice concept, but the reality kicks in and says, you don't raise the debt ceiling, you're not going to be able to finance any of that. You think about these things more than the average people. Well, that's the Virgo in me. Thank you very much. Always looking at the problem. I was also a business major as well as a computer programming major. So, yes, I see that stuff. I look at the trends analysis. I go, whoa, this isn't good. Yeah, they are. But then even when they wake up eventually and realize that they are going to have to seriously come to grips with the reality of what's going on. I mean, the frat and college mentality that some of these people have, it's not going to be forever. Okay, it's not going to be forever. It can't be, and that's the reality. You know, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to go, "What in the hell did I do with my life?" And that's the fact. That's just a fact that it's not a comfortable feeling to have to realize. It's like the morning after. It's like you think about all the things that you did the night before for fun at the bar, and how you met this one woman or this one guy, whichever the case may be, and then you and that person did some shagging, and the next thing you know, you find out that now you stuck with her or him laying in your bed, and then they tell you that, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey, but I'm pregnant with your kid." And then you go, "Oh, just what I need to hear. Well, you were certainly gung-ho last night." See what I'm saying? It's the same mentality. The people are looking for the parties and the fun. Then they realize that it ends with a very unpleasant crash, and they are just basically grasping at straws of what's going on with the economy. Right, exactly, that too. And the same thing for those people that go to college. And like I said, like the ones that go to the frats and the sororities, and they sit there and they party and they're drinking and they're kegging, and the next thing you know, like I said, they see that their academic performance is okay, but they chose a general studies degree. It's not going to give them anything of any particular value because it's too generalistic. And those are the ones that are kind of. That's one reason I think college is kind of stupid, because I think college should have actually be part of high school. The whole idea of high school was that you could go ahead, go to work right after high school and get a job. Well, not anymore. Sorry, honey. Those days are over. It depends on the turtle. Stomach turtles have big teeth in their beak. They act like bolt cutters, and they literally do. The Federal Reserve is privately owned by 8 families who will never allow crypto or any other monetary system to replace the money printing line. Because you'd be replacing one Schrodinger's cat with another Schrodinger's cat. Think about it. That's no better. You're not replacing one with something better. You're replacing one with something that's the same. It's just not managed by the 8 families. So, if that's the case, if that's what you want to do, then honestly, it's not really a better solution. Colonists is just gatekeeping. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It does signify the individual is willing and able to suffer for 4 years and may show capacity for responsibility. Okay, fine. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's also a time when they start running into their first long-term debts. Majority of the kids go for the Stafford, the Pell Grant, and financial aid assistance, and the next thing you know, they basically put themselves on a financial treadmill. That's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. College is a come on. Think about it. What is college? It's sort of like continuation of high school. High school, it should have been high school. Should have been where you should would just normally end, and you just go right into the workforce, get your diploma or your GED, and go right to work. No, not anymore. Now college is an extension of that high school, where the public school system can't continue to teach you, so you can go to college to learn. But then what does the average person do? They go for a general studies degree, and then they get into the same boat. Like they would in a mediocre high school. Exactly, Stan. I agree with you. And the sad truth is it does not solve their academics at all. It doesn't solve their employment options, because most of the time, depending on this is a problem that I was seeing in the 90s with kids coming out of college. Back in the 1980s, okay, you were seeing kids going to school, they were saying, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be a business major, I'm going to have all these business degrees, I'm going to have money dripping out of my armpits. Yeah, what happened? Too many of them. And then when they go into the first job, which is entry level, I was like, oh, this job is beneath my studies. I studied to become a CEO of a corporation. Yeah, well, I'm afraid to tell you, my friend, you have to work the corporate ladder if you want to become a CEO. If you're not willing to put the work in, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay? They think it's because they went to college and they studied business management and marketing. I did. As I said, I was a business major and a computer programming major. The thing is, you actually realize that what you're doing is you might as well go ahead and go to the bathroom and just take a brochure out of the toilet paper dispenser. Say, take one. You think you're going to get ahead? No, because the fact is everybody else is going for the same job you are. And they keep forgetting that they have to work their way up from the entry-level position to one of higher responsibility. Who came up with the idea of interest anyway? Usually it goes back to the time of the Knights Templar were doing it. And so were the people of the Hebrews were doing it too. But the ones that really pushed it were the Knights Templar with usury. And this definitely is a problem because you just can't make it. Well, I already answered it for you. But I'm sorry, I took the load out of your question. I knew you were going to. I deliberately removed that section because that's not necessarily entirely one group's decisions. But it was the Knights Templar that was doing it in Europe, and they were doing it to finance a lot of the programs and to help. They were helping people to start businesses, but they were charging interest rates to make those businesses happen when they would be giving loans. So that's where it comes from. That's how it started. In Europe, anyway. In other ways, it happened too, which was again through the Knights Templar. Was, for example, the traders in the Venetian traders had banks that would actually give them the money to sail the ships to get into the spice trade. Shipping's expensive, so they would go to a bank, get a loan from a bank to help finance the trips, realizing that they could probably pay the loan back given the amount of spices that they sold. And that's what they did. The Knights Templar helped finance the Venetian spice trade, which was part of the Middle East spice trade. They all kind of worked together. So, yeah. But let's flash forward to the 21st century for a minute. With over speculation on the real estate market. What makes, and then ask me this about in the antiques industry too, but what makes, who determines the value of a house, for example, or a piece of land? A tax assessment. Where do they get their numbers from? It's arbitrary. It's an arbitrary figure thrown at a house. From the condition of the house, the land, mineral rights of the land, whatever is on the house is on. So you might say, well, house is worth $125,000, but some real estate company like BlackRock is going to go in there and they're going to say to a landlord who's selling and say, I'll give you $175,000 for that house. He's going to take that. Because he already knows the tax assessor says it's worth $125,000, so he's going to sell for $175,000, which actually is lowballing it, actually, because it actually a lot of times they're going for even more than that. Now, what is BlackRock going to do? BlackRock's going to fix it up, flip it, and then they're going to try to sell it for $250,000 and make back their additional $75,000 that they paid. But the house still only has an assessed value of $125,000. So that means that the house is $125,000 overvalued. Wow. That is weird when you think about it. It's not like, I mean, if they were to go by the price of materials, the legislation, the permitting, everything, they would throw all that into the price of the house. It would be realistically what it would be worth, right? So let's say, for example, because of permitting and legislation, it probably cost me about $90,000 to build that house, assuming it's a new house. But what if the house is 50 years old? The house has already had all that stuff paid for. So now you would say, well, 50 years ago, 1971, okay, because I was born in 68, you would think, Okay, I paid for the permits, I paid for building fees, the land, everything. I've been living in this house, for this example, for 50 years. Every year I pay taxes, water, sewer, gas, property taxes, sales and use taxes for other things. So now theoretically the house is worth zero because I already paid for all that. So now I'm trying to sell it for $125,000, but really all the bills that was associated with the property are current. In that case, I'm just trying to make a profit by getting back everything that I put into that house. That's what's going on. It's a game, you know. Dumbed down college students no longer have the learn about the classical nymphs, but they do learn, for example, the sociology of Miley Cyrus. Really. But what's the point of doing that? I mean, really. And obviously, those colleges are not even teaching them the reality of what happens when you have an over-leveraged market. That's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. That's what's gonna happen. The economy is crumbling because people don't even understand this is not a new trend. Because they study it. That's why. And that's equally a loaded question. There's no reason why Christians can't be good with the law and with money too. It's just that so many people have gotten so used to actually letting somebody else do it. And so when they let somebody else do it, they lack knowledge of what could or could be a good or bad thing for them. Just check my watch me here. Oh, yeah, this watch me. It's pretty much shot. But either way, I'm just pointing it out. This is a long term coming. The roosters come back to roost. The rooster and the canary in the coal mine are warning you now that the systems that we have put our trust in are nothing more than cardboard. They're not even backed by nothing of any tangible value. Some people have asked me, actually I did last night, asked me this question. With the United States debt ceiling collapses and the federal government collapses, what's going to happen to Winston? He said Winston's going to be done, right? No, because Winston actually might be one of the cities that fares okay. Neither. I'm a vegetarian, pretty much. I mean, I eat meat once in a while, hamburgers, but I'm not. Wouldn't do that. Not into cannibalism. But either way, there are people out there in the time of what happened in Ukraine. That's exactly what they did, though. They eat older family members. Stalin, when he deprived Ukraine of the supplies, basically had no choice but to eat their own family. But I think that we can be better than that. I strongly believe that humanity may just have to go ahead and just do a total reset. Forget guns. You can forget gold and guns. Oh yeah, don't forget about God. But the point is that there's a lot of preppers out there that are thinking, I'm going to stock gold and I'm going to stock guns. And they have the 3 Gs, God, gold, and guns, right? Well, gold is going to be essential for transfer of wealth. Yes, guns is going to be a way to preserve your wealth. I mean, in the sense that either you be hunting or defense. But the main one is God, or a faith system, or you believe in a higher power. Now, I'm not a traditional Christian, okay? Or some Roman Catholic Christo-pagan. Try to say that fast. Roman Catholic Christo-pagan. And I can tell you that my faith is what's kept me going through the last, 50 years of my life. I've seen a lot, and I've survived a lot. The biggest thing that really was a major setback was the knee injury, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Because I already was having a problem with that same leg already. It was just putting the frosting on a very serious problem that already was there. And if it wasn't for my faith in God and working with Lumi and trying to keep things together, I don't think I could have done it. I mean, I'm a predisposed alcoholic. I mean, a lot of my family drink for themselves to oblivion. My father was a hardcore drunk. He quit drinking on his own in 1977. He made his own commitment to himself and to his family that he was no longer going to drink. He kept his word. He never did. He never went back to drinking. Even when he was on the deathbed, you would think it's what he would say, "Oh, the hell with it. Give me a Budweiser. This is my last one anyway. Who the fuck cares, right?" But no, my father kept his promise even to the very end. And I made a promise to myself when I was 13 years old, and I kept it, that I would never drink to oblivion or get into heavy drinking or at all. I mean, I don't even really drink alcohol. How you doing, Just Miss Jamie? Right, but don't forget also that Satan has been given time to rule this planet to see if his system's going to work. And obviously, we can see the Satan system is not working. The devil is not winning his argument. It's kind of like Joe Biden, okay? Everybody said give the Democrats a chance, and, well, they're not doing a good job, are they? No. How you doing today? Yeah, I made good choices because I realized the repercussions of making the wrong choices. But the point I'm trying to say is our current system is broken by design. It's broken. Because it's not going to work. It wasn't intended to work. And it really wasn't. Except for a very short time for very few people. Right, I understand that. Stan says, no one is perfect. Each must seek the best within themselves. The spiritual master themselves have known torment of all kinds and exposed more than others than manifestations of human nature. Okay, let's pick through that slowly because that's a lot there. No one is perfect, correct. Each man must seek the best within themselves. That's also true. The spiritual masters themselves have known torments of all kinds and exposed more than others to them. Right. Take a look, for example, St. Thomas Aquinas. He certainly was an intelligent person, but I like to think of St. Francis of Assisi. St. Francis of Assisi was a man, and St. Clare, that I understand darn well because I understand what happened to St. Francis. The fact is that He was a rich man's son, a man who had a family with wealth and prestige. And he gave all that up, took on the hardest mission of all. To him, that what he felt was the most important is to pick up his cross and follow our Lord and Savior through his journeys of his life to rebuild the church of San Domano. Okay? And he was dedicated to that. He believed in it. Sure, it was a hard life and it was a struggle. But him and a few other men that later became friars of the first of the Franciscan order also inspired St. Clare and her sister, I forgot what her sister's name was, to join in the same kind of living of obedience, poverty, and chastity. And yet, of course, there's a lot of people that could never live like that. The Bedouins didn't live like that. I mean, the Trappists didn't live like that. The Carmelites didn't live like that. They had a lot more of a structured format. You know, and I know the Bedouins are not even Catholics, but they are certainly desert-dwelling people that's had to endure enough in the Middle East. But the Benedictines certainly did suffer. The Carmelites did suffer. The Trappists did suffer. Okay? The point here is that they made this decision to pick up their cross and follow God. Because that was, to them, was their thing that made the most sense. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I really seriously question about people who seriously follow the will of when money is their God. You know, in fact, it was I think it was St. Paul that said it. For God is their stomach, and the glory is in their shame. The fact is that their stomach, their money, their wealth. But even Jesus said, man cannot follow both money and God, or serve two masters. He's going to either love one and despise the other. Okay? So, in other words, he's trying to divide himself up among two different completely opposing viewpoints. So you have to really think about it, because even if you are a Christian, or even if you're not stuck a Christian, but if you do have a belief in the faith system, you realize that you're stuck in this earth. You have to do things on this earth to survive. But which do you love more? Do you love money, or do you love your faith? If you love your faith, then you're going to go, well, money's nice to pay bills, but because you need to pay bills, but I don't love the smell of dollar bills. I don't love the feel of gold in my hands. I don't worship the dollar as my God. My God is eternal and ever powerful, omnipotent, omnipresent. He's everywhere. But money is a tool that helps you pay your bills, but it's not a God. It's a man-made construct. Nothing is simple ever. We must continually act for good without attaining the desired perfection. You're talking to a Virgo. You want to talk about we're the hardest on our own selves, because we are always trying to achieve that perfect whatever it is. Maybe perfect home, perfect life, perfect family, perfect environment, perfect community. And we drive ourselves up a tree trying to come up with a way to make things happen, that make everything perfect. Deep down, we know that perfection is not sustainable, but yet we keep trying to do it. I don't know why we keep doing it, but we do. Take this channel. This is a perfect example. This channel. I had a perfect goal for this channel. And every time I tried to make it perfect lighting, perfect sound, perfect picture, perfect topics, perfect subjects, perfect audience, it never happens, because something always unravels. Don't know why. It just does. And then we sit there and I'm beating my head against the wall going, gee, why can't I do this? Why can't I get that? Why can't I do that? What am I doing wrong? Am I saying something wrong? Am I bringing in the wrong topics? Is my presentation wrong? And you know what? That's when the Virgos will burn ourselves out because we're trying too hard to get the impossible. And that's the hardest thing. But why do we seek perfection when we know it's not achievable on this planet? We have this idea of perfection, but we don't really understand why we do it. Just like the concept of what's fair. Where does that concept come in? That's fair. That's fair. That's not fair. Where did the whole concept of fair come in? What in the world is fair? I have never seen anything in the world that's even close to fair. It comes from our life, our experience on the other side, where everything is perfect, because the Almighty Mother and Father God have made it so. And we try to take what we learn on the other side and we try to plop it onto this place, which is totally not balanced, not perfect, not fair. I visit old cemeteries and I see tremendous monuments for wealthy erect for themselves, but these too will fall to dust. All civilizations prior to 10,000 years ago have nearly entirely vanished. Right, exactly. Same thing with our existing government now. I mean, what's happened to the British Empire is going to happen to us. It's just a fact of real life. I mean, one day, I'm not going to be here anymore. One day, I'm not going to be here anymore. It's going to be like one day I'm going to be like, you're just going to hear my voice in the ether, and that's it. You're not going to see me anymore. Like this. There we go. You're just hearing a voice, but you're not seeing me. Same thing will happen with our society. It's going to collapse. It's going to crumble. It's going to be no more. Because it's built upon a fallacy that everything is going to endure forever. One other problem, too, I noticed from my own experience with my channel is once you start getting on the financial treadmill, you can't get off because it's like somebody keeps turning the thing up faster. You're afraid to stop because you're going for the adrenaline rush that you're going to be making more money. So it's like someone turns up the speed in the treadmill. Now you have to run faster and faster and faster and faster just to maintain a state equilibrium. That's pretty scary when you think about it, you know. So you're running around, going faster and faster, working harder than ever, just to make the same meager living that you were doing when you were just doing videos on YouTube without even being monetized. And you realize now, okay, because everything's going up in price, now you have to work harder to make a living and burn yourself out in the process. That's the saddest reality. I mean, never thought I was going to have an online store. That's how my advertisement just showed up for. Never thought I was going to have a Patreon page. Never thought about that. Originally, the whole idea was this channel was supposed to be bringing a little sideline money in to help finance the things that were getting expensive. But now this channel is a key to being just as sure I can pay my bills. That's the reality. It went from being an extra pocket money to, if I don't make $100 this month, my bills don't get paid. That's how serious the system has gotten to be, so twisted. So I'm no longer doing the channel just to make a little bit of pocket money. I have to do my channel because it's the only job I got. It's to pay the bills. Because everything else that I was depending on is not adequate. I didn't move. I didn't change houses. I didn't buy a fancy car or a carriage for the horse. I didn't buy any of that. What the hell happened? Everything went up. Everything went up in the store, and what was supposed to be a little bit of pocket money all of a sudden became, you don't make $100 this month, you don't eat. I'll just leave it at that. I think you figured it out. Right, I'm getting at. The point is you see, you start chasing this treadmill, to make a living, and it's very sobering because it's very scary. I just want you to understand what we're doing here. What are you gonna do? What is the future? Well, the future's obviously not in some man-made construct. Mankind, artificial, building up these platforms that we have created is not working. It's guaranteed it's doomed to failure. It is damned. It's just doomed to failure because of the system that we need is not there to provide for us. You got food stamps, please stop this. FC, listen to me for a second. The price of food is outstripping what I was getting in food stamps. Okay. Michelle, it is usually it's actually cheaper to eat out as long as you check out the coupons and budget days. Yesterday when I was out, I saw my pizza shop has 2 pies on Tuesday and Wednesday for $12.95. FC says it gets really old and constantly hearing tries and guilt trip your audience. Be humble, and people donate. They donate. Michelle wasn't even trying to make money on this, guys. She's just pointing out an observation. Yeah. Nothing to do about trying to get more money. She was just trying to point out that the situation in this earth is collapsing. It's true in any industry, actually. I mean, you take for example the minimum wage increases. You increase the minimum wage, all of a sudden everything goes up to compensate for that minimum wage. And the prices have to go up because the retailers have to pay more to their employees. See, that's the problem with minimum wage, is when you start going up on minimum wage, everything goes up because of the steps involved to make the product. That's completely different. But a lot of the people in the Congress, the government don't tell you that, but it's true. If they had managed to successfully get the minimum wage up to $15 an hour, everything that you would buy in the store that has any labor at all would have to go up to compensate. For example, the farmer would have to pay his workers more. So he's going to raise the price of his finished products be it meat, potatoes, carrots, beef, whatever. Okay? Then the trucking company that delivers the food to the grocery store has to pay the truckers more. So that's going to add to the cost. Okay? Then the grocery store itself is going to pay the employees more to put the same product on the shelf. All of a sudden, every single step is going to add to the price. We all want to live good, right? We all want to live good. But it's unsustainable. He did apply for food stamps. And don't forget, YouTube itself isn't free either. YouTube itself makes money, even if you're not monetized channel. Now they're running ads on non-monetized channels because they make money to pay for the operating expenses. Remember now, YouTube used to be what they would call a dog. Okay, what it was is Google was losing millions of dollars a year on YouTube. Okay? Well, back before they started really pushing monetization. They had to, because that was the only way that they were going to make it. And now it had to start turning a profit. More than that. Probably about 500. As soon as his application is approved, as soon as he gets his letter in the mail, because they already did electronic filing. Well, it ain't free for me. I mean, I have ad blocker on the main computer. I don't have it on my phone. And the fact of the matter is, some of the ads are worth watching. Some of them are worth watching. But that's not the point I'm trying to get at. Is nothing in this world is free. Yeah. Michelle does need to be granted for what she does have. I am. I had never said I wasn't. People keep telling me that, my apartment is substandard and sucks and all that. But the thing is that those people don't seem to be saying is, wait a minute, Michelle's apartment is actually not bad. She's got a place to live. She's got a warm bed. She's got food. She has a cat. She has, she's not going to freeze every winter. I had no problem with it, so I'm still here. I'm sure that there are people in my situation who had grown up in a very vastly different circumstances would have said, this place is a dump. I'm getting the heck out of here. Yeah. But now the landlords, including mine, had to increase the rents. And now all of a sudden, you may not be able to get anywhere else. You may not be able to get anywhere. So sometimes just be glad you got a place to park your ass every night. That's what pretty much it is. My landlord is no different than any other landlord. He's got to pay his mortgage, his insurance, and taxes on this place. He's just passing on the costs to his tenants. When you think about it, all landlords do that. Sure, maybe after the property was fully paid for and the mortgage is paid up, maybe he could go down in the rent. But that's not what they do. All landlords are like that. Because they're trying to make a living. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. You want to make a living? That's fine. But if I was a landlord, well, this is what I would do differently. I would, very honestly, once the mortgage is paid up, I would say to my tenants, attention, all tenants, your rent is going down by a factor of 50%. I bet they would probably go, why? Because we paid off our mortgage. Now we don't have to pay the mortgage anymore. So I immediately would bring the rent down to compensate for what we're not paying out in expenses. Now think about this. Get a house, a duplex, right? You go out there and on someone's house that you're not living in, just to make this easy. Let's say you had a mortgage, say, let's say the house was worth about $120,000. Let's say you happen to lock it in with a 30-year fixed. So, like, you get a house with 30-year fixed, and let's say the mortgage that you would be paying on the house in your area, whatever this may be about $1,200. So theoretically, you say, well, there's two two-bedroom apartments in each, so I could charge $600 a month. But then I have to add in the cost of utilities, like gas, water, garbage, sewer, things like that. So you say, realistically, I can probably charge about $800, because especially with heat and hot water included in the rent, right? So let's see, 30 years later, okay, mortgage is paid off. Then I could quietly go to the tenants and then we can negotiate the lease and say, hey, you know what? I have some good news. You're not going to be paying $800 a month anymore. You're paying $400. Now, you might say, that's ludicrous. Landlords don't do that. You're right, they don't. They would still charge you $800 and pocket the other $400 that they're no longer paying in mortgage, so they can go ahead and use it and buy another house, or 2 or 3 houses over the period of 30, 40 years. That's the way they're thinking. It's just like the game Monopoly. The unfortunate result is you can still end up going bankrupt. Before you and your show, please invoke a genuine prayer. Of course, I will, true. Gratefulness prayer. I don't know exactly what a gratefulness prayer is, but how about this? Glory be to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thanks for the fact that we have a place to live and that we have a roof over our head. Keep us from freezing this winter. And pray to God that the government finally gets their head out of its ass and does the right thing. That's a big amen. Yeah, definitely. I hope that they, okay, Bubba. I mean, so you're a little, but you have to upkeep, and that's not cheap, right? That's true. That usually they add that in to the price of rental, right? But in my simple example, we just kept it simple. But so really, your biggest expense as a landlord is, besides upkeep, is taxes and the mortgage and insurance. If you're not paying mortgage because your mortgage is paid up, then you can work on the upkeep. But how much money does it typically cost, for example, to hire someone to mow the grass? Or to occasionally replace, broken appliances, or maybe work on the roof for the plumbing and it's needed. The point is that you can do it. I mean, when you were paying the mortgage, you were doing all that. You know what I'm saying? And you were paying, you're getting $700, $800 for rent, with heat and hot water included, and you were paying, and it was only costing you about $700 per apartment for the duplex. It give you $100, right? So then, now that your mortgage is paid off, there's no reason why you can't go, gee, I can go ahead and give my tenants a break, because now I'm getting a break because I don't have to pay a mortgage. But like I said, I know about the upkeep, landscaping, roofing, electrical, plumbing, gas, all that, structural. Yeah, that does add up. So, yeah, just an example of what I'm talking about. So, what is the government going to default or not? At an educated level, I'm going to tell you straight out, count on it. Because they're not able to fix this problem in a timely manner. They're not going to be able to fix it. Because they have made the perfect problem of painting themselves into a corner. That's all I can tell you. Well, like I said, that's a rarity, but I would do it. I would do it. Once the mortgage is paid off, there's no reason that I need to charge my tenant so much money, as if because I don't have to pay the mortgage. So maybe I might just say, hey, maybe I can't go down 400, maybe I can go down 300. So that $900 apartment now costs $600. Right. Well, I'm assuming you've had the property that you've got a good steady tenants that have been there constantly and paid the rent, and you're making enough to. The PTE ratio is good, where you're making enough money that you offset your expenses, and you have extra funds for contingencies like repairs. Because you can also outprice yourself too. As BlackRock is doing now. They're turning the houses that they bought into rentals. And they're charging much more for rent than people can afford to pay. And so these people are stuck renting a house they can't afford. Because it's the only choice they have. That's not a solution either. That's a problem. Your rent really should not be more than 50% of your income. I get $1,334, which is amazingly a lot more money than a lot of people on Social Security get. Now, out of that $1,334, I pay $800 a month. Now, if I'm getting $1,334, my rent has to be 50%, should be under $650. Okay, because add it up. $650 times 2, $1,300. So actually $675. You can get away with $675. 0, count to 1, 5, can count to 1 again. 13. Okay, just say $675 tops. But that's not what I'm paying. I'm paying $900 a month. Actually, $800 a month for me, and then Ed's paying another $400 for him. So I can assure you, it is not uncommon to see you're paying more than 50% of your income in rent. In some markets, sometimes you have to consider that. I mean, sure, you want the best tenants. That's what they do. They'll use the rent as an entry barrier to entry for the lower income people. The people on Social Security, for example, who don't have entitlements, do not have HUD, do not have Section 8. You might want, you want the best tenants. Again, there's a perfection thing, right? I want the best tenant. Yeah. Okay. So, for my 2-bedroom apartment in this example, I'm going to charge $1,050 a month. People on Social Security disability can't afford that unless they have Section 8. Section 8 gives you a promissory note that the tenant is going to pay, and they're going to pay on time. in exchange, they're going to create guidelines that you must comply with in order to maintain your subsidy on your side. Now, for some people, that's okay. Now, some landlords don't have no problem with that, but some landlords are like, I don't want to deal with that. Take a place like inner city, New Delhi, or sub-Saharan Africa. Well, Stan, I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. Also, take a look at Bulgaria, the one place the pop keeps talking about. Take a look at Sofia, Bulgaria. It's not very nice either, especially when you realize that you got the Roma, which are basically the related to the original gypsies. They can't even afford to live anywhere nice because they don't make enough money. They're living in old huts that basically don't even have running water. They don't even get access to the medical care they need. Section 8 where I live is 90% chance they will ruin your house. And yep, exactly. Yes, that is very true. But that's another issue that landlords, like my landlord, basically threw his hands in the air with Section 8. I mean, he got nasty to them. He said, sorry, I don't want to deal with the program. I don't want to deal with the headaches. I don't want to deal with you guys sending me all these tenants that don't respect my property and trash my home. No, I don't want to deal with your Section 8 subsidies. I don't want to deal with the paperwork. Can you blame him? No, you can't. I actually, as a tenant, I am also can see it from his perspective too. He lost money when he was on Section 8 because he had people trashing his building like you wouldn't believe. So you can't blame landlords for wanting to stay away from Section 8. Especially since a lot of people on entitlement programs, unless they're disabled. If they're disabled, maybe he might be a little bit better tenant, but let's say that's relative. The thing is that most of them are drug addicted SSI recipients that basically have no desire to really work, or they claim they can't work, or some of them may be welfare mothers on WIC and food stamps and other programs, and then they're quietly selling hash on the side. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And they have their maybe be running a prostitutions going on in the back room. And they're basically got the crack pipes all over the house, and they're destroying your plumbing, your electrical. Right. So what was intended as a good program in the 70s is a minefield. It's an absolute minefield. Well, it's 7 minutes to 7:30 or 11:30, so I'm gonna get ready soon for meals on feet. But you guys wanted to see walk up to the soup kitchen. Today would be a good day because I have to go to the soup kitchen and I gotta go get some milk at the store. So today is a good day to ride. I'll put my camera in my walker and walk over to Cumbies and first go to the soup kitchen, go get meals on feet, and then we will go to the Cumberland Farms and buy a gallon of milk. And then we can see how that affects us. Right, that's going to be another video after this one. Because I can't easily hand off from one to the other. But we'll see if we can get one in. This is soup kitchen. I have the walker set enough to do it now, so we can go. It might be a little shaky, like I was singing last night. My walker does the shaky, shaky. It's better than nothing. At least you'll be able to see something. I'm glad we got a chance to cover something a little more important today. But I do wish and ask that you pray for your fellow Americans, especially those that are going to really, really be giving a kick to the Kiwis once we default. I really don't know what to tell them. But basically, I would have to just say this: is you put your trust in a government that doesn't care about you. The Soviet collapse was brutal. Many spiritual weak Russians turned to alcohol and drugs. The stronger ones survived. Read about Ivan Mushkovov, the feral boy raised by dogs from age 4 to 6. And while you're at it, watch other documentaries on similar things in other countries that have suffered and recovered. Well, especially what happened in Greece. That's more of what's going to happen here with the United States. It's going to be similar to Greece if we default. So that's what happened to Greece is going to hurt us the same way. Not a very nice thought that we could be like Greece. But it's very likely. Maybe after this, maybe somebody will come up with better policies that make more sense after this. So Greece was definitely a wake-up call. So was Italy, by the way. Those two are within this decade. So you can definitely think about that. What happened to Greece? What's happening to Ukraine? What's happening in Italy? Oh my God, the economy. So these places were devastated. Of course, Ukraine was devastated because of war, but still, it really does matter. It still really makes a difference. So guys, I'm gonna get ready for meals and feet. So get my walker out, put the camera on it, see if I can get this thing going. Bring my food stamp card out, get some groceries. I need milk for the house. I gotta check my food stamp balance first, and I might just record the video and then just basically let you guys watch it. Maybe I'll do some overdub it voiceover at the same time. Alright, so for guys, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, put a like in the like jar. It really would help a lot. And to encourage more people to come and check out the shows. So that's what we do here. Okay, you have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys.